AITA for refusing to uproot my life and move back in with my parents? So I, 31M, moved out of my parents' home when I was 19 years. I have lived on my own and with different roommates for the past 12-ish years. My current problem is that my parents want me to move back home. They need my help, both financially, to which I've already been sending them money whenever I can, and to help take care of them. They had me late in the game. They are both in their early 70s. I have 4 older siblings, but because I'm the only one of us 5 that don't have kids, they expect me to drop my life and move 2 states away so that I can move back in with them. On my own dime, too. I told them no, that I wouldn't do it. I don't have the best relationship with my mother. While my father is basically a teddy bear, my mother spent most of my life telling me how much I ruined her plans. How I wasn't supposed to happen. Took a fit every time she had to spend money on me, while at the same time never shying away from dropping $20s and $50s in the communion basket during church. Screaming at me for being too small to fit in my older brother's hand-me-downs when he was always tall for his age, while I've always been short. I told them no. My father seems to understand, but my mother's gone on a rampage. I've been getting calls from people in my old neighborhood that I haven't seen in years talking down to me about my decision. My siblings have also been badgering me about it. So Reddit, AITA for not wanting to uproot my life and move 2 states away on my own dime, just to move back in with my parents? Welcome to r. Am I the asshole? Please view our voting guide here. https://www.reddit.com/r/amethyst_/wiki/fact#wiki_what.2019s_with_these_are acronyms.3if_with_these_are, and remember to use only one * judgment in your comment. Op has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. Greater than I could be the asshole for not even considerations it. I flat out told them no. Help keep the sub engaging. Don't downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click. K here for our rules. https://www.reddit.com/r/amethysthole/about/rules and click here for our FAQ. https://www.reddit.com/r/amethysthole/wiki/fact#subreddit announcements. Follow the link above to learn more. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. https://www.reddit.com/message/compose/?r/amethysthole if you have any questions or concerns. Contest mode is 1.5 hours long on this post. NTA. Live your own life. Tell each sibling who's badgering you. I'm pleased to hear you feel so strongly about this. Thanks for volunteering to move back to our parents' place. I'll let them know about your interest. I don't understand why you're sending your parents money, unless your siblings are also making matching donations. As far as I know, they are not. They all have responsibilities and can't afford it. I don't send them money all the time, but I do when I can. The way your mother is behaving right now, that itself is a strong reason to not move back. They are taking your willingness to help them financially as your weakness. Time to cut the umbilical cord. I would suggest to hold on to any amount you feel like sending them in a separate savings account for a rainy day. With advancing age, many issues that can come require funds, and you may be thankful that you have those in hand for a situation where money is really needed. NTA overall, please stop sending your parents money, or cut down on the amount. You are going to need it for your own retirement, and for heaven's sakes, do not move in with them. They were supposed to plan for their retirement, and it is not your fault they didn't. My guess is the parents' retirement plan was always to have Op move back and become their unpaid servant. If it goes the usual way selfish parents do this, then someday Op would sacrifice their entire life for the parents, and be left nothing because the siblings have families and deserve it more. If they need help, there are assisted living places that do that. Especially since mother apparently loves conspicuous shows of wealth. I think the retirement plan was having 5 kids. This scares me as someone who is not going to have kids but knows mine and my husband's parents will all need help when they're older. Once they retire, if they haven't already, start talking about their plans when they are older and can't necessarily do everything for themselves. It may be several conversations. If they point to you as their retirement plan, take a deep breath and tell them the boundaries, limits to your help. This is the chance to be strong. You will talking to people in their late 60s to early 70s, i.e., people who can manage their finances, make phone calls about resources and make plans. Too many pay-o. Peely wait until their folks are in their 80s and then much more of the load can fall on you and your husband. Talk to other siblings so you are all on the same page. Good luck. It's best that they know now what you will or won't do for them so they can plan accordingly. They really need to start saving for that. I don't understand why people do not plan for retirement. Yes, my grandmother was the youngest. Her parents told her they expected her to stay single, never move out, and work to support them. She said no thanks and married my grandpa instead. My great-grandmother then went and got a job again. They could support themselves. They just wanted grandma to do it instead. Op is NTA and keep living their life. Sounds like the parents have their own home. Why can't they sell it now and use that money to move into an assisted living facility? NTA op, and please don't let them guilt you into helping them. First rule, if those people are close enough to your mother to be her flying monkeys, they are close enough to help her instead of you. Second rule, just say it's not possible. You live too far away and can't move. And don't feel like you have explained yourself more, because engaging in this conversation gives the false impression you can be talked to change your mind. That can be the third rule. Well put. I too was really struck by the people from the old neighborhood are calling me. That really takes the whole flying monkeys thing to a new level. Right? Everyone can pick a one day of the month and mommy dearest would not be alone a single day. Bonus, they live in the same neighborhood. If it's an old neighborhood full of Italians, those flying monkeys stick to the wall like overcooked spaghetti and swing at you from the lampposts to pick your pockets for the church. My memory is long on this one. Don't explain yourself. Just say you help where you can and you'd love it if they could too. They'll either shut up or they'll contribute. Stop doing that right now. No more money, no more support. You've done enough and should move on with a clear conscience. Ops mother treatment is pathetic. Best advice is to frame the very questions asked if you return to the sender. Never throw stones while you live in a glass house. Greater than never throw stones while you live in a glass house. Lovely. I'll keep that in mind. And resume perfectly the main thing that bothered me. Mother treat child like shit. Mother expect then said child to care about her. Mother can fouquet off. My mom's physically and mentally abused my sister and I. The almost daily violence and trauma was wild looking back now that I am a parent. I have never called my son a demeaning name or physically hurt him. I didn't realize my mother is a monster of a human being until I got older. That's when it really hit me. Trying to picture myself treating my son like my mom treated my sister and I. I'm so sorry you had to endure that, but thank you for breaking the cycle. Thank you. It's been a lot to deal with. I just wish I could magically forget it all. Well, by remembering, even though it hurts, it helps you be a much better parent to your kids. It's a good wish, but unfortunately my short memory for traumatic situations has only provided more opportunity for gaslighting. Yep, lots of things in my childhood I thought were normal till I had kids and realized I would never treat them the same way I was treated. Becoming a parent is how I both broke the cycle and realized my parents were bad parents. I wasn't a bad kid. One of the things I am most proud of in my life is that if I raise my hand for any reason, my kids are not afraid. Which is crazy. Kudos to you. Yeah, that's what happens when you have kids. I had so much anger towards my abusive father. Then when I had my own kids, it immediately turned to pity. How sad I would feel if my kids cared about me as little as I cared about him. How much he has cheated himself out of knowing his beautiful, funny grandchildren. I literally felt the hand of karma land right on his ass. Same man, I was always angry with my dad for bailing and leaving me with my mom, and then my mom for just being an awful human. Waste of a life to literally leave behind a negative impact on the world. Parenting definitely stirs up all those old wounds you thought were healed when you hold your child and realize the love you have for them would never allow you to say or do the terrible things you experienced from your own parents. It's a fresh trauma and takes time to heal. Red heart. You are victorious. I've heard it said a few times that we become the parents we needed growing up once we have our own children. And that really has resonated with me. I talk to my kids about whatever they want to talk about. Age appropriate, of course. I talk to my kids about their feelings instead of getting enraged. They show any emotion besides happy. I don't force them to spend 10+ hours each week on church activities. I don't hit them. I encourage their interests and support their interests as best I can. And I never use the word disappointment. My therapist took it one step further and told me that that's the first step, but then look again and be the parent your child needs, as that will have subtle differences, as they will not have the same wounds or needs that you might have had. And each of your children are different too, so you need to adjust accordingly. This changed my life and my parenting. You're probably doing it already from what you've said. You made your bed, mother. Now lie in it. You stirred the shit. Now you can lick the spoon. Oh, I like this. using it in the future. You buttered your bread, now lie on it. You dug your grave, now jump in. You dropped your bread and it landed butter side down. Now eat it, dirt and all. You made your bed, now die in it. Harsh, I know, but unfortunately words I said to my father after having 2 awesome kids and realizing what a real parent should be. You said it more politely than I would have. Exactly. It is the mother that lives in the glass house. He is probably indirectly giving money to the church based on the post. I was thinking that too. Definitely NTA, whatever she does about the money. I'd probably continue slipping Dad a little something if he asks. And it's for something important. But there's no reason to give in to Mom's emotional blackmail. I wonder if Op has room enough for Dad to move in with her? He may be ready to move out himself. Or put the money aside for your father in case he ever needs it. No more to Mom. And that money could go against them if they try to qualify for other sorts of supports. Yep, never bite the hand that feeds you. I don't know why you're telling Op what to do. I think if he wants to help them out, that's up to him. Stop it. If she was known to be dropping cash at church whilst villainizing you when she had to spend money on you as a kid, how do you know that she isn't still giving away money and then taking yours? Perhaps the church could help them. Lol. Have you ever seen a church help anyone with their actual cash? I don't go to church anymore, but growing up I actually did see this. They gave one family gas and rent money because they could not afford it. It was a very small town though, so that could be why. I'm sure the preacher did get a higher salary than he should have, and he also started a coup with some of the elders. So definitely not all good. Our church has a fund specifically for financial needs. Many churches do. There are those that believe in being a big wealthy church, but many normal churches try and do actual community outreach. Clothing drives, food drives, and things like that, as well as help financially. Since they are not trying to make a name for themselves, you don't hear about it. They are not out bragging about what they do. That's beautiful. Wait, that money is supposed to go to help people? I thought it was to line the pocket of the priest, bishop, pope, whatever high-up church official can get it. Haha, you're funny. Made me laugh, smiley face. Of course she is. Gotta keep up appearances. Excellent point. I'd insist upon no church donations while you're paying for their support. You are making it much harder for yourself to have responsibilities like a spouse and children. Ask your siblings why they don't want you to have the happiness they do. Why they feel entitled to ask you to sacrifice your life when they won't. Ask them how much they are going to pay you to compensate you for missing out on what they were lucky enough to get because they were born earlier. So NTA, being born last shouldn't make you Cinderella. Stop. Tell her you'll put it in the collection basket at your own church. Bonus points if you're non-religious and set up a jar labeled, My Church, that you use for fun money. I love this. I'm a Brit and some of us refer to bottle openers as church keys, so that fits nicely. Okay, sign rolling on the floor laughing. I'm a Brit and I've never heard that. That's brilliant. Both sides of my family, mothers in New York State and fathers in Ohio, do the same. Maybe we nicked it from them thinking face rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing. My dad and Bill always referred to them as that rolling on the floor laughing. I learned that one in the British Army. Also, the core motto was twist to open, or arte et mart in Latin. Based on the buckle of our staple belts, they actually could be used as a church key. You. Complete. Me. Perfect. If she says family should come first, you can tell her that's not been your experience. Rolling on the floor laughing, thumbs up, cool. Greater than they all have responsibilities, and can't afford to tell them if they have the time to pester you. Their responsibilities can't be too significant and they can help your parents. You're kind, but sending them money is feeding this behavior. Either call off all of your attack dogs, or I won't send you any more money. If phone calls get bad, block some numbers. I don't like you being taken advantage of. Your mom feels you owe her for keeping and raising you, since you were not planned. I'm sorry about this whole situation. It must be a heavy weight. I wouldn't add that won't send any more money. He should tell them to call them off and stop sending money. Woman shrugging. Leverage. They need to have a reason to stop it, and money would motivate them. He can always change that decision down the road. If they kick up a fuss, then cut them off immediately. They already have kicked up that fuss, though, by demanding he drop his life and come help them now and then sending family after him to get him to do it. I wonder if they realize this. If he doesn't have a job that could transfer him, and he does quit, the odds of him finding a full-time, decently paying job aren't super great. He'd end up with zero money to contribute to their retirement at all. NTA lovely. Forget financial problems op. Can you imagine what life with your parents are going to be like? You're going to become alive and made. And no offense, but if you are going to be this much of a burden, then your mom should have done something else about it. Like using protection, woman face palming, medium skin tone. Going off topic, the scene popped into my head from Desperate Housewives where one of Lynette's and Tom's twin tell them both they were both irresponsible, where for a moment of pleasure they ruined their ow. And lives by not using protection. Tears of joy see no evil. The twins were adults at that point. Their youngest was a teenager. And 70 isn't that old. They could easily live another 20 years. Mom is probably exaggerating for attention. Where I live, it is common to see 70s and some 80s citizens bag groceries at the store and volunteer in the hospitals, etc. Even some 80s, 90s, and a 100-year-old do half marathons. How much of that money she was throwing did she earn herself? They were about 40 when they had him. Nowadays, that's not too late to have children, since many millennials are struggling with cost of living, housing, student debt, etc. until way into their 30s. Hell, I'll probably be at least 40 before I have the financial security and bandwidth to raise a child. Stop doing that and tell them you're being responsible now and are donating to your church and are trying to live well and within your means. Whatever you do, don't move back home. If you're doing all right for yourself, then it's great. You risk being cut out of your family by them, but it sounds like you don't miss much. Spend time with your found family. I love your answer. You need to keep your money to donate to the church or your own charities. I wasted many years of my life caring for my grandmother instead of living my life and advancing my business. It started when I was a teen with little things, but by my 30s I was driving her everywhere, taking her shopping, doctor's appointments, helping around the house, etc. She literally took over my life. Hindsight, it was absolutely not worth it. She is similar to your mother in some ways. Disparaging you, 'cause why not? Keeping up appearance at church and with friends while chastising you for needing shit like clothes or food, etc. At some point I had reached my limit with her treatment and told her she needed to be nice to me. The only person who took care of her, or I was done. She instantly and aggressively turned against me. I was done. All those things she had promised me, for all the time I was there, was gone, and I was being set up to be homeless. Not really, but I was being bounced from my apartment, which I had lived in for like 20 years. It was a granny flat on her property that I paid rent for. She then enlisted my cousins, aunts, uncles, etc. to turn against me and start the "but family" campaign. You know how she is. She's in her 80s. She's not going to change. Well, she needs you help and your family, but you've been caring for her for this long. You can't just abandon her. And so on. Please stop sending them money. Do not move in with them. They are grown-ass adults who can take care of themselves. And tell every single family member plays the "but family" game that they have just volunteered to take care of them. Simple solution: if they can't afford it, sell the parents' place and they can move in with one of your siblings using the profits to pay rent. I'm sure they'd love plenty of quality time with the grandkids, and your siblings now get live-in babysitters. At least that's what you need to tell them. A win for everyone if they are all so passionate about helping out. If your mom is still dropping 50s in the collection plate, you are flushing your money down the toilet. That's her problem. You are 31 years old and living with roommates. You can't afford it either. I live alone right now. I've had roommates in the past. Doesn't matter that you live alone. You should not give up your life, Asters. Your job to move several states away to no job to take care of your parents because you are the youngest and don't have children. Your siblings, even though they have children, can still help out. Unless they have severe illness and are in medical debt, they can surely pitch in something every month. If you all sent even down 10 to 15 a month and that is not enough, then parents need to sell home and go to assisted living or new RSING home. If they also need physical care, they may be spending money on things they shouldn't be if they are on that tight of a budget, and if they are, then that falls back on parents for wasting money. One of siblings who lives close by needs to go over and do a budget for them. Look at income. Find out exactly what they are spending their money on and cut out any incidentals that are not necessary. Sometimes people have to give things up they want to have but don't need to have in RDER to live **. Being the youngest does not make you their caretaker **. When you have other siblings, their having kids does not make them ineligible to help their parents. But in today's economy, you really can't. You need to realize that you're being used. You are the black sheep. Your mother has trained your siblings that you are responsible for them. Here's the reality. You didn't ask to be born. It's not your responsibility to care for them when they are old just because they cared for you, however crappy it was, when you were a kid. You deserve better than that. The bank of Otakunapi is now closed. The nursing home of Otakunapi is also now closed. Anyone who calls you badgering you for not being a better person, just tell them, you know what? My parents do deserve a loving home and someone who loves them to take care of them. I will let them know you are offering. This is so kind of you. I know how much they love you. This will just make their decade. And when they stutter and start backtracking, then play the exact same game they did. What do you mean you can't take care of them? After all the times they did kind and loving things for you over the years, you owe it to them to do this kindness. What kind of crappy person says no to someone like them? They need you now more than ever. If your siblings do this, repeat the same things back to them. Parrot the behavior they are giving and hand the phone up on them. This is important. No is a complete sentence. Tell all the flying monkeys that if your parents need a helping hand, look at the end of their arms. Your parents essentially abandoned you as a child. Why should you uproot your life because as sure as God made little green apples, your mother will abuse you even if you help? Tell your siblings that until they step up to the plate, you will have nothing more to do with them. Well, you shouldn't be doing it either. Your parents need to go and live by one of your siblings so that they can enjoy their grandchildren. You also have responsibilities to yourself and your future family if you want one. Now is the time for you to be using your time, talents, and money into establishing your career, saving to buy a house, and finding a life partner. You don't need to be saddled with taking care of two old people. My children are in their late 20s and there is no way I would be asking them to give me money or take care of me. NTA. You've already moved states away and established a life. These people are being ridiculous. I'm going to guess your siblings probably live near your parents. They should be helping them out or taking them in. Yes. Look after yourself. If your family isn't there for you, then why be there for them? Have you considered a cat? Now you have a responsibility. Or the responsibility has you. A good point. All those people from the old neighborhood should get an earful about how abusive your mother was. I bet she stops sending her flying monkeys in a hurry once her reputation gets trashed. If you don't want to send money but you feel pressured because they're your parents, have a discussion with your other siblings. They have obligations because they chose them. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything because you made different choices. In cultures where the children live with their aging parents to care for them, even children with large families live with the aging parents, so having a family is not an excuse. The church thanks you for subsidizing their tithe. WTF? If anything, you need to uproot yourself from these people calling themselves your family. They are not. NTA, change your phone number and don't give it to them. Let them only write on an email. Just remember that you have responsibilities, too. That includes responsibilities to yourself. The money you're sending them probably goes to their church rather than to your own retirement account. Don't leave yourself in the same condition that they've managed to do to themselves. Are you the only one sending money? There are 5 of you. Are your sibs sending money, too? Here's a response you can copy and paste to everyone. I'm so glad that you've taken such an interest in helping out my parents. I'm so glad that you're volunteering to do the work and step up, and I'm glad you're going to be there for them. You're an angel to take on this responsibility, and I'm grateful that you want to do this. Stop sending money. They made financial choices to get to this place, and those choices are not your responsibility. Tell them it's the oldest sibling's responsibility to care for the parents. Because they are more established in their career and families, they can afford some flexibility, while you are under more responsibility to get your future set up. Winking face. She's probably giving it to the church. NTA. Tell the neighbors that call you to mind their own business and buzz off. She used to yell at you for not fitting in hand-me-downs. Yell at her for not spending the money you're giving her wisely enough. Stop sending them money. They are not using it as they should. If you sent them, let's say $500 and they shouldn't need you to move in. Your mom sounds like a nightmare. After 4 kids, she should know how babies are made. I'd tell her that. Be like, so after 4 babies, you're telling me you didn't know by then how birth control works? I would stop that. If you give some people an inch, they will try to take a mile. You've already done plenty, especially considering that your parents forced you out of the house so young and seemingly didn't support you financially to go to college. If they are truly in dire need, they can reach out to the church that they generously supported all these years and ask for support. The same thing goes for getting help in the home. They can ask their church for a volunteer, or they can see if there are local programs that they qualify for based on their income. They could also sell or reverse mortgage their house. I would assume that they would probably leave it to your other siblings and not you, since you don't need it. Lastly, even if it's difficult to contribute, Your other siblings could get a second job to have some extra money to send to them. You've done more than enough, especially as the black sheep of the family. It's time to force their other supports to step up. Honestly, sounds like you should go LC with them. Stop sending them money, and anybody who calls to berate you for not supporting your parents, ignore or tell them they are welcome to support them if they care so much about it. If they don't volunteer, then tell them to shut their damn mouths and stay the F out of your business. Stop sending them money. I'm guessing some of this is cultural, but if there's any way to do so, perhaps you can threaten to stop sending them money if the harassment doesn't stop. I also really hope this isn't like tithing, when you're expected to squeeze blood from a stone and not put money aside for your own savings. Future. Time for you to manufacture some responsibilities. STOP. New word, IT. Means you're not financially secure to only send them some once in a while. If you move a roast state and such odds finding job and such, you'll have no money, so how would you help them financially? And then to do so, you'll need a job, so how much help would you be to them? NTA, don't listen to the naysayers. No, don't go back, they have other options. But if you can afford to send them money, sometimes do it. Maybe just to your dad if your mom is toxic. I cared for my mother and not one of my 6 siblings did help. Some did gave her money. I did this for no one but myself and my mother. You should never have done it in the first place. You're the youngest and your mom was abusing you when you were younger, and sounds like it didn't stop. Tell them that if they didn't want you so much, they could have had an abortion instead, but now you're grown up and you don't have to help them any more than your siblings. Maybe you should stop. They want to get nasty to you. Get nasty back. Yeah, stay hard on the angle that if your siblings are going to bitch and moan about the situation, that they have to fix it themselves. Seriously, unless she stops spending all the money on communion, she can just shove all her money requests out the window. Why is she giving to the community when she apparently doesn't have enough for herself first? That money should be used to meet her own needs. Why is she begging her kid for money, resources, instead of the church that is taking in money from the community to serve the people of that community? Why is she taking from her child to give to her friends, especially when she is emotionally and financially withholding their whole life? It takes some serious entitlement to emotionally abuse your kid about the burden they've been and then demand that they drop everything they've built for themselves despite your actions and inactions to take care of you at their own expense. I'm sorry Op's dad has such a bad partner. He should be pissed at her for sending flying monkeys after his kid and attacking them for prioritizing their needs over her desires. I hope he makes it clear that her selfishness basically disqualifies her for any accolades she ever gets as a good mom. If you're not willing to sacrifice your future comfort for your kid, you have no business raising one. They should be grateful, not a-holes. Stop. You do not owe them anything. They made sure to tell you how much they had not planned you. Completely made you feel bad for existing. Why would you ever feel the need to support your emotional abusers? Let the golden older siblings deal with it. The siblings with kids could actually benefit from the parents helping with childcare. But I'm just guessing your mom is a pain to be around for anybody. Siblings want you to move to them so they don't have to lift a finger and put up with mom. And you're a full-grown man. They need to understand that they can't boss you around and you're not a doormat. Stop sending money and block everyone temporarily from contacting you. Go live your life to the fullest. NTA, you have responsibilities and can't afford it either, the money or the mental guilt. Go low contact. Maybe one of your siblings should take your parents into their home. Then they would have a babysitter at all times, or they can tell their grandkids stories. Your siblings can also send a little money when they can, family or not. Dog, that money should be your new therapy budget. People are pro something until they have to share the inconvenience of it. Your siblings can volunteer themselves if they feel so strongly about it. They sound as terrible as their mother. The apples didn't fall far from the tree. You are doing more than enough already. Block the neighbors. You don't owe them the time of day. I can't imagine strangers calling me angrily over something that's none of their business, not end up in instant click and block after the initial confusion of it. Happy. Ning haha. You have responsibilities too. They just don't involve a partner and kids. Your life is no less valuable than your siblings. And in fact, you need to make sure that you are able to save and secure for your future. There are different ways to help your parents. Can they get aged care packages so someone can come in and clean? Do the yard work? Can they get meals delivered? Do they need help with mobility in their activities of daily living? Will they need to think about going into an aged care home at some point? Oh, and NTA, of course. I've been in your position. The reason anyone else tries to bully you into doing it is to avoid the attention upon themselves. They're willing to sacrifice you to save themselves. You should tell her you spent your whole childhood with her, angry you ruined her plans, so now you won't let her ruin your plans. Tell her since she kept reminding you that you weren't supposed to be here anyway, she can pretend you're not here and ask one of the children she did plan to take care of her. You have absolutely no obligation or responsibility to your parents or your siblings. None. Your mother is abusive. You need to look out for your own mental health because God knows the rest of your family sure as hell doesn't care. Go tell your mother to pound sand and then go no contact. Block any family members who harass you or just keep repeating. Then you do it. I couldn't have said it better. The expectation that because you don't have kids, yet, by choice, whatever, all your time and money is up for grabs is some bullshit. And tell all your old neighbors that they're more than welcome to drop in and help, too. NTA, tell your mother that you acknowledge that you were an unwanted inconvenience growing up and that you don't wish to taint her life again. Essentially giving her the middle finger and making her reflect on her actions as a parent. Hopefully you still keep in touch with your father op. He seems like a nice man from what you've said in your post. It would be nicer if he could call off his wife and kids. In the musical Into the Woods, Red Riding Hood ends up reflecting on how nice is different than good. I think that fits here. He's nice, but he's not good. I feel like I am forever arguing about this with people. Nice isn't a character trait. It tells you nothing about a person except that they understand basic social interactions. If all you can say about a person is that they're nice, then they aren't actually kind or good or generous or welcoming or any actual traits that mark a person with character. I'm an auditor and I cringe when I go somewhere and I'm told someone is so nice. Why, you ask? Because the most likely person to be stealing is the nice one. And sometimes, nice people are bullies who use their niceness as currency. If you don't bend the knee to them after they're nice to you, they use that as an excuse to rip into you for the smallest slight. That's why I hate when someone says someone is nice. Like the nice guy thing. Yeah, sure. They're nice, but are they good about rejection? That's a recurring theme throughout the show, honestly. Even the witch towards the end tells the main cast, greater than you're so nice. You're not good. You're not bad. You're just nice. Also, I didn't think I would see an Into the Woods reference here, but I'm not mad about it. Tears of Joy. And now I have that song stuck in my head. Thank you. It's not too bad, because it is a good song. Better yet, tell Mom that hearing how much Op ruined her plans through the years instilled an unassailable determination not to allow anyone to ruin OP's plans in a similar manner. Seeing that resentment up close and personal certainly is not going to make the same mistake Mom did. Mom taught Op well. Greater than making her reflect on her actions as a parent. Lol, good luck with that. God, that brings back a memory. My mom wanted to show me something on her phone when I was a teenager. I said I would be right there. I was filling a mug with water. She said, I just want to get this over with. Immediately I felt like a burden, an obligation, and that was the only reason she was showing me something. So I dropped the mug in the sink, walked over and sat down. I was not normally sassy or defiant, so I think she was shocked. Neither of us said anything and she just walked away. Later that afternoon she asked why I did that. Well, since I'm an inconvenience to you, I didn't think you wanted to wait for me to finish what I was doing. What makes you think that? You said you wanted to get it over with. So obviously you wanted to get interacting with me over with. So you obviously wanted nothing to do with me and I was an inconvenience to you. You didn't actually want to talk to me. She apologized. She was apparently just overwhelmed with other stuff she had to do that day. But I still remember it 10-ish years later like it was yesterday. The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Or better yet, I know I was an unwanted inconvenience to you while growing up. Why would I want the unwanted inconvenience of you now that I'm grown? Edit. NTA. NTA, maybe the church can help them since they are such big donors. Churches really don't help out in these situations. It's discouraging how little the church does. Your mouth to God, es ears. My sil ran a soup kitchen for a church for years and didn't go to family functions and gave them thousands of dollars. She's an invalid now and the priests don't even visit her. My family stopped being Catholic when a great aunt got burned and the priest didn't come to give her last rites because she had missed church that week. The games they play are terrible. The priest at the church I grew up going to wouldn't have my aunt's funeral there because he didn't know her as a good Catholic, whereas my father, her brother, and I were at Mass every Sunday. On the other hand, our local mayor, eventual governor, eventual next big party name guy was shouted out every time he attended, not every week or even every month, even though he was embroiled in scandal because of his children's arrests and releases. My father had been Went there for 26 years and found a new church the next day. I stopped going altogether. Catholics are some of the biggest hypocrites around. And don't get me started on the church. All they care about is money. And this coming from someone who went Catholic schools for 12 years. The fuck? On the other hand, if the community around that church is a good one, they will help. However, for a lot of people, asking for help is hard. Your children aren't supposed to be your retirement and end-of-life plan. Exactly. Kids aren't retirement plans. They're chaos coordinators. Tell that to my mother. She explicitly referred to things she did for us as investments in her retirement. Looks like her investments went belly up. Sucks for her. They shouldn't be, but in many parts of the world, they tend to be. In the places and cultures where this is the norm, the kids, usually, get a lot of support that your average lower and middle-class white American is not getting. My friends' parents, working 2 to 3 jobs, put their kids through university and often graduate or professional school without their kids needing to work or take out loans. Often they scrimp to buy a house or condo for their kids too to set them up really well for life, if they can. After that kind of support, and financial freedom, kids often don't view it as a burden to support their parents in old age, because they've watched their parents sacrifice everything and work themselves to the bone for decades to help set their kids up for life. That's a lot different than cutting off financial support to your kids at 18 and then immediately expecting them to start giving you cash. If they make your life hell now while you live states away, imagine what they do when you're back home. Don't do it. It's not your responsibility. I'm sorry your mother is abusive. You have no obligation to spend time with, let alone support or live with, an abusive person. In this case, your mother has learned the consequences for her abusive behavior. Block, ignore, or limit contact with anyone who thinks they can force you to support an abusive parent. Let the people who want them in their life be in their life with their time, money, and effort. You've got better things to do with your own life. You've been getting calls from your old neighborhood 2 states away. In the immortal words of Jeremy Clarkson, oh no. Anyway, do continue to support them financially. Don't leave them destitute. But have a sit-down meeting with your siblings to discuss how you are all going to handle your parents' end-of-life costs. Any of us who are still lucky to have our parents around know that this day comes eventually. It's sad and it's tough to watch your parents grow old, but the responsibility should be borne by all the kids, not just one alone. That's a great idea to have that discussion with your siblings. My brothers and I did that 9 years ago at Thanksgiving. We all sat down together, including the sisters-in-law, and discussed how we hope to support Mother going forward. The next day we sat Mom down and reviewed what we had talked about, helped her getting clarity on what she wanted, and also agreed to have someone come in and check on her on a daily basis as she was then 88 and living alone. She is still doing well. Having had this discussion with my siblings and also with my mother has really made things much easier and much more clear going forward. My siblings are all spread out amongst the states. Closest I could do is a group vid call. Then do that. You should not be shouldering the financial burden of your parents on your own. Time for everyone to chip in. If that's the only way everyone can talk together, then it'll work. It's probably even more important considering how far away everyone is. Frankly, you do not have to let this be your responsibility. Tell your siblings to arrange a group discussion if they feel the need. The bottom line is that you are not available to quit your life and become a full-time carer to your parents. All these random people from your old neighborhood who've been contacting you? Block them all. Asterisk. They are not your family. They are not your friends. There is no reason for you to allow access to them to abuse you. And frankly, that goes for any relatives who are abusing you. Please stop sending your parents money. Tell them you've spent the last 12 years taking responsibility for yourself, and it's time they started taking responsibility for themselves. Any of your siblings who court you to tell you to move back, tell them you are glad to hear they think that going to live with your parents is so important, and you'll let your parents know that they have volunteered to do that. If necessary, stop picking up their calls and be very low contact about responding to any messages. I have given you my input, and also do consider creating a will to protect your money and assets in case something happens to you so that Mother cannot her hands on your money should something happen to you. Make sure your will has ironclad conditions, e.g. a certain amount set aside for upkeep of the parents, such as a small trust fund to ensure Mother does not withdraw too much and overspend, and a portion to charity of choice. Then do that. Let Sibs know in no uncertain terms that you are not moving back to become your mom's whipping boy or girl. Because that is just what is in store for you. Take the extra money you've been sending and put it into a OSH asterisk things or FCKED fund. Don't send it directly. Contact elder services in their town and see what help is available to them. SIBs need to decide who is healthcare proxy for them as well. AITA has taught me that not even family should have my phone number. Mine are blocked on all communications media. Why should OP support their parents financially? No parent should ever rely on their child to be their retirement plan. It doesn't sound like the parents have suddenly experienced a hardship, just that they think they're entitled to be given money. Depends on the culture you grew up in. We'd all be dead if our parents didn't care for us until we could do it ourselves. As they get old, it's our chance to repay them. Except you shouldn't have to. Your parents chose to have and care for a child. And if they are kind, loving parents, most people would be happy to help them as they grow older. But many parents, like OP's mother, are not. To have a child just for the expectation that they will provide for you in your old age is a dated, selfish concept. Disagree on continuing support. They're on their own now. Maybe put it aside, but don't give a penny of it to them. Save it for a dire emergency. Perfect reference. https://youtube.com/shorts/QSNI0_8N608?C=TQ7xFubsing-JH2. Mom, thanks for proving to me that I made the right decision not to move in with you guys. I had a few moments of doubt, but your behavior of enlisting random people from the neighborhood to try to manipulate me is proof that I absolutely should not ever consider moving in with you. If you are willing to harass me like this when I live in a different state, I simply can't afford to live in a place where you have greater access to me, and where you would be able to harass me more directly. And, your mother has clearly demonstrated how she intends to handle every single future conflict with you. She has zero interest in your well-being, and is only interested in how she can force you to do her bidding. Stay far, far away. I would also encourage you to stop discussing your choices with the people she tricks, coerces to call you. Just hang up on them, or, if you feel the need to say something, keep it short with something like, "My mother knows why I can't move in with her, and I'm not going to continue to discuss it with anyone. NTA. Don't move back. There's nothing there for you but a world of hurt. Block all the flying monkeys, and stop sending money till you get an apology from your mother." I'd be cautious even with an apology. I grew up in a home with abhorrent narcissistic abuse. People can apologize and then take it back the next day or hour. Other times, they will apologize and go through the motions of repentance to only pick right back up with their crap a day or two later and gaslight or play dumb when you confront them. Very dangerous behavior. If the apology is insincere, then it's easy enough to stop the flow of money again, this time permanently. Under no circumstances should OP actually move back in with his parents. Flying monkeys, tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy, so true, tears of joy. NTA. Sound concerned and ask all these flying monkeys about how your mom might have dementia.